Hello, everyone. My name's Sandra, and I'm 28. I live in Houston, Texas, but I'm planning to move out soon. I was in a terrible marriage for a year and a half, but I managed to come out of it thanks to my father and the police. It was all my fault. I got myself into this. If I was a bit clever, maybe I would have done the right thing and said no to that marriage. I was always this very shy and aloof girl. Didn't quite like hanging out with people. I always stayed in front of my computer, and having unlimited internet availability, I was completely engrossed in the virtual world. There were very few times I would go to pubs and enjoy a drink, but then there would be weird strangers who would approach me and try to make friends with me. But I strongly refused their offer, as they were complete strangers and they could kidnap me, for heaven's sake. My mother died when I was 6. She had an untreated heart condition. I was raised by my father. He worked as a Marine since the age of 23. He would often leave us for long journeys through adventurous waters and explore new things. I missed him a lot during those times. He would send letters to my mother and even try to call her whenever there was an opportunity. When my mom died, he came back. He saw me crying like crazy beside the casket. He picked me up and tried his very best to console me. "Hey, my little girl, miss me? Wow, you have grown so much." "Papa, Hey now, Dove, it's all right. Now that Daddy's here, you'll be all right, I promise, okay?" I still kept crying in his arms, clutching his uniform. My dad slowly patted my back and kept humming my favorite lullaby until I finally fell asleep. That night, I saw him sitting alone on the couch drinking. He looked pale and sad. He kept muttering something to himself and then muffled his face on the cushion and started crying. That was the second time I saw him cry. The first was when I fell from the slide and hurt myself. Maybe he blamed himself for all the things that happened. He took a break for 2 months before leaving for work again. Before doing so, he left me with my grandmother, who took care of me while he was away. "Be nice to Granny, okay? She's here for you. You will be a good girl and help her out." And you?" "I'll come back soon, my dove. I told Granny to teach you to bake your favorite sweets and your favorite dishes. You will learn from her well, won't you?" "Yes, Dad, I will." "Next time I come back, I would love to try out your dishes." "Now I must go. My car's waiting. You take care of yourself, honey." He left. I knew he would be returning after 6 months or so. He would often send me gifts and small souvenirs from the places he had visited. I would mostly stay indoors and help Grandma out with her chores. I avoided playing with kids. I didn't like to. As I grew up, I became more and more dependent on the comfort of my room. My dad eventually sent me back to our old home. I hated going to college. I hated interacting with people. The internet gave me more confidence than the outside world could ever do, each with its own stories waiting to be discovered. It's both thrilling and comforting to talk to people whom I'll probably never meet in person. I can share my thoughts, feelings, and interests with them, knowing that they won't judge me for being an introvert. In this vast sea of connections, I've found friends who truly understand me. Through the screen, I've met people from different cultures, backgrounds, and experiences. It's fascinating to learn about their lives and to realize how similar we all are, despite our differences. The internet has become a bridge that spans across continents, bringing us together in ways that were once unimaginable. There, I met a guy named Ricky. He was a streamer, at least that's what he told me. He first started with chat and then it went ahead with video calls. I often hid my identity by wearing a Batman mask, and he would put a scarf around his face and wear a beanie. "Hi, Sandra. It's great to see you, finally." "Hello, Rick. Nice to meet you. Virtually." "Likewise. So, how are you doing today? How many people did you chat with in total?" "Oh, I'm doing fine. Just a bit nervous, to be honest. You?" "That's completely normal, but trust me, I don't bite. I'm as awkward as you are. After all, it's our first proper conversation. So, Rick, tell me more about you. How did you end up on this online platform? Well, I love meeting new people and exploring different perspectives. I tend to stay at home more often than I should, and this online community seemed like a perfect opportunity to do just that. How about you? Well, I'm a typical introvert, so I find it a bit challenging to socialize in traditional settings. Online platforms provide a sense of comfort and allow me to open up a bit more. I completely understand. Virtual connections can be surprisingly meaningful. I'm glad we crossed paths. We chatted for a while, finding common interests and sharing stories about their lives. I began to feel more at ease as the conversation flowed naturally. You know, I never expected to feel this comfortable talking to someone online. Thank you for making it easy. It really helps. The feeling's mutual, Sandra. You're a great conversationalist, and I'm glad we connected. If you ever want to chat again, just let me know. I'm mostly online playing Mario. Oh, forgot to ask, do you game? I'd love that, Rick. By the way, no, I mostly blog and scroll through Reddit. There are some awesome kinds of stuff you can find there. I feel like I get to learn from other people's stories than from real-life examples. Haha, true. I feel like our own lives can be such a bummer sometimes. It's fascinating to get to know others. Like, look at me. I trust my online friends more than the ones who exist in my life. The best thing about virtual stuff is that you don't have to feel obliged to keep in contact. You can take it or leave it. Your choice. As the conversation continued, Ricky and I built a genuine connection despite being virtual strangers. Our shared understanding and open-mindedness create a sense of friendship that transcends the screen. I'm not sure where this journey will lead me, but one thing is certain. My online experiences have shaped who I am. As I continue to navigate through life, I know that the lessons I've learned from my digital haven will always be a part of me. My father, on the other hand, is a very careful person. If he finds out I'm making friends who I haven't even seen, he would get super pissed. The last time he came to me, he sat me down and ended up lecturing me during dinner. How are your studies, Dove? Dad, I've graduated. Well, you wouldn't know. You didn't come. Oh, Sandra, bad, you know. I was extremely busy, and I was sorry then and sorry now. I even emailed you saying I would be there for your birthday. Tomorrow is my pumpkin's birthday. Stop calling me names. I'm no longer 6, you know. Well, to me, you will always be my little Dove. Anyways, what have you planned for the future? Are you thinking of working? I don't know. What do you mean, I don't know? What are your friends doing currently? I do not have any friends. What? Look, dear, I haven't shifted you to your mom's house so that you can stay home and not socialize with the world. There are so many things you're missing out on. So many people you won't be able to meet if you don't step out, honey. That's the problem, Dad. I don't know how to. But I'll try. I mean, I do make friends, but they are online. Online? Sandra, that's the worst platform to make friends. Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, fine. How about we go out today? A little bit of shopping, just you and me. I haven't been out at all recently. I don't know if I can or... Absolutely you can, Sandra. You have to try. This is not a healthy way of living. I understand ever since Marissa died, you have become... Why are you bringing Mom into this? What are you trying to suggest? I am not suggesting anything, honey. I'm just saying that there are ways to move on from grievances. As much as we both love your mom, we must learn to move on. I don't know why, but I got very angry. I slammed the table and stood up. I didn't even want to finish my food. I took my plates towards the sink. Sandra, do not give your father that attitude, please. I was trying to help you. Why don't you understand? You don't know anything about me, so don't even try to. I was so angry. I went online to find Rick. In the beginning, Ricky seemed like a nice person, understanding and willing to listen. I appreciated having someone to talk to, especially about the frustration that had been building up within me. Being an introvert, I always found comfort and solace in the familiarity of my home and the company of my computer screen. While others ventured out into the world, I preferred the safety of my virtual haven where I could be myself without the pressure of face-to-face interactions. My father had been pushing me more often lately, ever since I told him that I spend most of my life online. I knew this would happen. He wouldn't understand. He believed that staying confined within the walls of my room would hinder my growth and personal development. He wanted me to experience life outside my comfort zone, and that thought terrified me. I would vent my frustrations to Ricky, hoping he would understand my predicament. Hey, Sandra, do you want to meet up? I mean, we both are introverts, so we can meet up someplace that is quiet with not many people. I know a place like that. I don't know. I feel like it's really sudden. I need time to think. I just wanted to tell you whatever was going on. All right, no worries. I can wait. Whenever you feel like it, you can always drop by. Here, take my address. You're always welcome. Why are you being so nice to me? I'm a stranger, am I not? Because I like you. Like me? Are you serious? Yes. I know it sounds strange from my mouth, but I want to get to know you. And if you ever feel the same, you know where to meet me. It was a big deal for me stepping outside the world. My heart pounded with both excitement and nerves as I stood outside Rick's home, finally ready to meet the person I had been talking to online for the past month. He surprisingly lived very close to me, like a 20-minute drive or so. I took a deep breath, gathering my courage before knocking on the weathered wooden door. It creaked open, revealing Rick with a warm smile that instantly eased my apprehension. He was quite a charming young man. His home might not have been what one would call complimenting at first glance, but there was something endearing about it. It exuded a sense of authenticity and the lived-in charm that made it feel welcoming. As I stepped inside, I couldn't help but notice the small details that revealed a lot about Ricky's character. The bookshelves filled with well-loved classics, the stack of board games, his computer setup, etc. Welcome to my humble abode. Your gracious presence was much needed, my fair master. Some game language I probably won't understand, but thank you. This is quite a cozy place. Do you live alone? Nope, my fair princess. I live with my mom. She lives downstairs. I have the top floor all to myself. Come, I'll show you around. We spent the day talking, laughing, and discovering even more about each other. Meeting in person added depth to our connection, and I felt a newfound appreciation for the person behind the screen. Rick was just as kind and genuine as I had imagined, and his quirky sense of humor only made me like him more. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Rick suggested we take a stroll outside, and I agreed without hesitation. As we wandered along the nearby park, the conversation flowed effortlessly, and my initial nervousness transformed into a feeling of comfort and ease. Being with him in person felt like an extension of our online chats, but with an added layer of intimacy that only face-to-face interactions could bring. Wait, are you telling me you didn't celebrate your birthday? Yeah, I didn't feel like it. Plus, my dad was really mean. I didn't know how to face him after the argument we had. Oh, I'm so sorry that it happened. I'm sure he'll come around. He's your father after all. I made a mistake. I trusted him too much. I felt like his words were honey, but I didn't realize that I was just like one of his games. When we started to date, he became an overly possessive and jealous boyfriend. He would always make me talk to him on the phone or online. If I ever tried to chat with anyone else, he would get angry. He kept saying that he loved me a lot and wanted to protect me. I believed him. Why did I believe him? As our relationship grew stronger, it became apparent that his mother didn't approve of me. It was disheartening to know that she harbored such negative feelings towards me, someone she hadn't even met in person. Her disapproval weighed on me, and I couldn't help but wonder why she couldn't see the love and care we had for each other. Rick's close relationship with his mother was evident, and he often referred to himself as a mama's boy. While I respected the bond they shared, it also created a sense of distance between us. I understood that family was essential to him, but I couldn't help feeling like an outsider trying to navigate the complexities of his mother's disapproval. The strangest thing ever, though, was that his mother low-key wanted us to marry off. She knew I had no one in the world, and my father doesn't stay with me. She probably thought I would be a great servant to her needs. Not every parent is perfect. Look at your dad, for instance. At least my mother cares about me. Please, Rick, you know when you talk like that, it really hurts. Then, you know I'm the only one for you right now. Your dad doesn't love you. I do. So stop complaining so much about my life and try to compromise. We had a secret marriage. Ricky didn't allow me to invite my father, saying that he would never approve of this wedding. He successfully brainwashed me into thinking that my dad doesn't love me. I silently got married to him. I knew I have landed myself in dangerous waters. But I was a weak character. Call me a lame woman, but my personality was molded by my surroundings, and I blame myself for not trying. After a few months of marriage, I began to see a side of his mother that I had never expected. One that was filled with cruelty and malice. She seemed to take pleasure in torturing me emotionally, making me question my worth and leaving me feeling broken and defeated. It started with subtle comments and passive-aggressive remarks, chipping away at my self-esteem bit by bit. I tried to brush it off, believing that her disapproval would fade with time, but instead it intensified, turning into a full-blown campaign of emotional torment. What is this? Do you call this food? You expect my boy to eat this atrocity? Go make it again, stupid girl. Or, why is there so much dirt here? Are you blind? What is shabby girl? Or, get up, lazy girl. Take the trash out. Now, Jesus, have your parents taught you nothing? Her words cut like a knife, leaving scars that ran deep within my soul. She would question my every decision, belittle my achievements, and manipulate situations to make me feel unworthy of Ricky's love. And my amazing husband would be in his room either listening to a song or playing video games. It felt like I was trapped in a never-ending nightmare, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape her grasp. I was pent up with internal rage inside me. My own stupidity and weakness added up to that rage. How can I be so weak? I missed my dad. I was regretting fighting with him. I shouted at him and told him to leave me alone. With a heavy heart, he left a few days after my birthday. Now I was stuck here. I deserved every bit of it. One day, I was not feeling really well. I felt very feverish, so I tucked myself on the sofa. I thought maybe a nap would do me some good. I was almost asleep when suddenly a cold gush of water was violently splashed at me. I woke up extremely startled and panicky. It was Allie. She had a disgusted look on her face. What the hell are you doing sleeping on our couch? Did you go get our groceries as ordered? I stayed silent. Oh, I see. You want your old mother-in-law to do all the dirty work while you laze around, you devil. She slapped my face and started calling out Ricky's name. I couldn't take it anymore. I lashed out. I am not doing anything for you or your useless son. I've had enough of your bullshit. Go find someone else to bother. I can't and I won't. I didn't get a single respect from this family, and I don't care anymore. I was about to leave when something blunt fell on the back of my head. I blacked out. When I woke up, I saw myself in a semi-dark room. There was a small bulb lit at the center of the room. My head was hurting. I tried to get up on my feet, but I wobbled and fell down again. It was hurting everywhere. Where was I? I could hear muffled sounds from somewhere. It grew louder as it approached me. I tried to crawl toward the sound and found a metal door with a small window. I took its support to get up on my feet. It latched open and I saw Ricky grinning at me. "Oh, is my wife scared of the dark?" "What is this, Ricky? Please, get me out of here. This is not funny." "Shut up. This is exactly what you get for raising your voice at my mother. Now, I will make sure you never see the day ever again." Please, Ricky. I'm sorry. I'll do anything. I promise I won't complain. Please let me out. I beg you. "Not so soon, Buttercup. If you behave, I might think of releasing you. For now, this would be your little cave. It's not like you like going out anyways, and besides, who do you have? Your mom is dead. Your dad doesn't love you. You're nothing but a forgotten soul. My house gave you a chance to start over, but you wasted it." "I'll make up for it. I really didn't mean to, Ricky. Please let me out. I don't like being in the dark." "Oh, Daddy's little girl, aren't you? How about you scream his name? He would magically appear somehow and rescue his little princess." Ha 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 ha. He shut the window and went away. As I sat in the cold, dark basement, fear and anger coursed through my veins. How did things escalate to this point? All I had done was refuse to follow my mother-in-law's unreasonable orders, and now I was paying the price for standing up for myself. As I reached my pockets, I felt my phone. It was broken and shattered. I lost all hope. But wait, there was a faint blinking of the screen. I could still call my dad. The screen was really faded, but I knew my dad's number by heart. With trembling hands, tears streaming down my face, I dialed his number. My voice shook as I told him what had happened, hoping against hope that he could somehow save me from this nightmare. 2 days later, when I was half dead and despair threatened to consume me entirely, I heard a car pull up outside the house. My heart pounded in my chest as I strained to hear the sound of the footsteps coming down the stairs. When the door swung open, revealing my father standing tall and unwavering, a mix of relief and disbelief washed over me. I couldn't believe he had dropped everything and rushed to my aid. He brought a few cops along with him. Rick and Allie were immediately arrested. They were trying their best to lie, but were in vain. "You have no idea what you both have waiting at court, you psychopaths. What have you done to my little girl?" "Sir, we are truly sorry. We meant no harm. I was thinking of releasing her today, I swear." "And who are you to decide the punishment for my daughter? You look like something out of a sewer, pathetic little scumbag." "Okay, come on, Sandra. Let's go." As my dad escorted me out of that dark basement, I felt a newfound sense of courage and determination. The ordeal was far from easy, but it had shown me that I could face challenges head-on with the unwavering support of my Marine dad by my side. From that day forward, I vowed to stand up for myself and never let anyone take away my voice. I just hope Ricky and his mom rot in jail. I'm planning to move to New Orleans with my dad. Texas was not safe for me anymore. And yeah, I will make sure not to ever rely on online strangers anymore. Lesson learned. Hey all, I'm Steve, 36. So a few years ago, I got hitched to Tina. And you know what they say, when you marry someone, you're also stuck with their mom. In my case, that's Naomi, my mother-in-law. Now, I'm cool with family stuff, but Naomi was a pro at pushing my buttons and making me doubt myself. It felt like I was trapped in an endless loop of her nagging and insults. Yikes, right? But hey, love can make you do crazy stuff, and I love Tina like crazy. So I put up with all the Naomi drama and kept my cool. I was determined not to let her toxic vibes mess up our relationship. Tina was totally worth it. As time went by, though, I noticed a change in Tina. She started acting distant and withdrawn. It was obvious that something wasn't right. So one evening, while we were snuggled up on the couch, I finally got the courage to talk to her about it. Hey, babe, I've noticed you've been a bit distant lately. Is everything all right? So there I was, sitting with Tina, and I could see she was struggling. Her eyes looked all frustrated and sad at the same time. After a moment of hesitation, she let out a sigh and started talking. Steve, I love you, but I can't help but feel like something is missing in our relationship. Man, my mind was going crazy, trying to figure out what she was saying. It was like a tornado inside my head, trying to make sense of her words. I racked my brain for potential problems, but for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what she was talking about. So then I asked, what do you mean, babe? I thought we were solid. Steve, it's just, I don't feel the same respect for you as I used to. I miss the days when we were on top, when the money was flowing, and we had it all. I know it sounds shallow, but it's how I feel. I was used to a certain lifestyle, and now, I don't know. What the hell? Her words hit me hard. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't believe it had come to this point. Was our love all about money and success? It made me so mad, hurt, and confused all at once. Are you kidding me, babe? Money isn't everything. Our love should be about more than just how fat my paycheck is. We've got something real and unique here, something that goes way beyond material stuff. What are you talking about? I know, Steve, but I can't help the way I feel. I miss the security, the lifestyle we had before. It was like a back and forth of emotions, love and frustration all mixed up. But no matter how much we talked, we couldn't seem to get on the same page. As the night dragged on, it hit me that our marriage was hanging by a thread. I couldn't handle her shallowness. Like, seriously. I didn't even know who I was talking to anymore. Love is about supporting and understanding each other through thick and thin, you know? Everything went downhill after that. Over time, I got fed up with Tina's materialistic mindset. Love changes, and I realized my feelings for her were different now. The spark we once had was gone, and money or things couldn't fill that void. With that new realization, I stopped holding back when it came to Naomi's mistreatment. Oh boy, was I ready to fight back, and let me tell you, things got intense. We'd end up screaming at each other whenever we crossed paths. We were all sitting around the dinner table. It was supposed to be a peaceful family dinner. Ha! Peace was nowhere to be found. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, and it felt like everyone was waiting for a huge explosion. Naomi took a sip of her wine, her eyes fixated on me. Steve, dear, I'm sorry to sound so crass, but when are you going to get your act together? I don't see any progress in your career, and it's time you step up and provide for my daughter. Well, I see the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. In case you didn't get the memo, Naomi, love and respect aren't things that can be bought and sold. I may not have stacks of cash, but I've got a heart full of love and dedication. That stuff is worth way more than any amount of money. Isn't that what truly matters? And it's not like we're swimming in poverty either. You all need to grow up. Oh, she was really mad after I said that. Oh, that's rich coming from you. You're the one who needs to grow up, Steve. Love won't pay the bills. Love won't pay for groceries. Yeah, love is important, but come on, Steve, don't be delusional. In this economy, a man is nothing if he doesn't have more than enough money. Our fights got crazy intense, each one full of bitterness and resentment. We were throwing words at each other like daggers, tearing apart our already wonky relationship. I won't get into all the nitty-gritty, but it was way out of control. I might have said some seriously harsh stuff that even makes sailors blush, but I didn't care. I was tired of her crap. One day, Tina took me aside and I could see she was so confused and hurt. Her eyes said it all. Honestly, I was surprised at her confusion. She should have seen this coming with the way she and her mother were treating me. "Steve, why are you treating my mom this way? She's only looking out for our best interests. You need to stop acting so rude. It's getting out of hand." I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what I was about to say. "Tina, I gotta be real with you now. The truth is, I don't feel the same love for you anymore. I mean, who are we kidding? Our marriage has turned into this messed up fight over money and lack of respect, and it seems like we won't ever get on the same page. I think we should get a divorce." "Steve, you can't be serious. We've built a life together. What about our dreams? What about me?" "Tina, dreams change. People change. I can't keep living a lie, pretending that everything is fine when it's not. We both deserve to find our happiness. And since I can't provide that to you, I think it's best we just call it quits. I hope there's no bad blood. It's just, I can't handle this anymore." And just like that, the bomb dropped. It hit us like a ton of bricks. Everything just fell apart. Our marriage just crumbled, leaving behind a mess of broken promises and shattered hopes. We had to face the truth that it was time to go our separate ways and find our happiness. Tina and I, well, let's just say things had taken a turn for the worse between us. The tension was thick enough to cut with a steak knife, and every interaction felt like a dance on broken glass. So we both agreed that it would be best if I packed my bags and found a new place to crash while the divorce proceedings unfolded. Trust me, folks, it was the smartest move we could make to avoid any more unnecessary awkwardness. We needed some breathing space, a chance to untangle ourselves from the mess we had created and figure out how to move forward. It wasn't an easy decision, but sometimes you have to take a step back to gain clarity, right? So there I was, living in my own little slice of freedom, separate from Tina, when out of the blue I received a message that turned my world upside down. It was a message from a distant relative, a great uncle I hadn't heard from in years. The message stated that his wife, who was my direct relative, had sadly passed away, and she had left behind a whopping inheritance of $2 million just for me. Now, you might be thinking, "Steve, this sounds like some elaborate scam." And trust me, I had my doubts too. My initial reaction was pure disbelief. I hadn't been in contact with my family for so long. I'm ashamed to admit that I didn't even know if they were still alive. So naturally, I questioned the realness of the message. I fired back a response demanding proof, thinking this was some sort of cruel prank or a scam artist trying to get their hands on my hard-earned cash. But you know what? He provided the evidence. The official documents, the legalities, everything checked out. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was as if fate had thrown a curveball my way and I had hit a home run. The weight of this sudden fortune hit me like a ton of bricks, and I found myself dropping to my knees, sobbing uncontrollably. I mean, think about it. I was getting by, earning a decent amount, but still I was feeling a bit suffocated by financial stress every now and then, as one normally does. And now, in one fell swoop, I had the chance to change everything. I literally became an overnight millionaire. The emotions that washed over me were immeasurable, to say the least. I was overwhelmed with a mix of emotions from shock to disbelief to sheer gratitude. Word travels fast in a small town, y'all, and before I knew it, news of my impending millionaire status spread like wildfire. It seemed like everyone and their mother was suddenly interested in my life. People I hadn't talked to in ages were coming out of the woodwork looking for their own slice of the pie. Amidst all the craziness and the tension, I needed some time to really think about what this meant for me. Money can be a double-edged sword, you know. It can bring happiness, but it can also mess things up. So I had to be careful about how it would affect my life. Sure, the idea of being financially free was tempting, but I knew from experience that money doesn't guarantee happiness. Hold on tight, guys, because here comes the twist. I was just doing my thing, enjoying my freedom in a separate house when out of nowhere, I got a call from none other than my ex-mother-in-law. Naomi wasted no time and got straight to the point. "Steve, I hear you're about to become a millionaire. Is that true?" I could practically hear the dollar signs dancing in her eyes over the phone. Naturally, I was skeptical. "Oh, come on, Naomi. Are you telling me you're calling just because of my upcoming wealth?" Unsurprisingly, Naomi acted like nothing was wrong and invited me over for a family dinner. Can you believe it? She said she missed her dear sister-in-law and thought it'd be nice to have one last get-together before we split for good. Eye roll. I mean, come on. I had already told both Tina and Naomi that our relationship was beyond fixing. Divorce was happening and there was no going back. So, of course, I just chuckled at how ridiculous it all sounded and gave my reply. "Naomi, let's be real here. Tina and I are getting divorced. Why would you want to throw a family dinner?" So there I was, turning down Naomi's invite to the dinner, but she just wouldn't take no for an answer. She was playing the sentimental card like a pro, trying to get me to join them. She made it sound like this dinner would be all nostalgic and full of cherished memories. I could practically see her sneaky grin through the phone, knowing she had hooked me with that bait. It was a tough call, you know. Part of me wanted to avoid all the drama and manipulation, but another part wanted closure and to face that toxicity head on. In the end, curiosity got the best of me. Against my gut feeling, I reluctantly agreed to attend the family dinner. I just couldn't resist seeing how far Naomi would go to get her way. So I showed up to the dinner, and it's like I'm some kind of superstar. Tina's whole extended family is all over me, clapping and showering me with attention. It's like I hit the lottery or something. Well, technically I did, I guess, depending on how you look at it. And then there was Naomi smirking like a cat that got the cream. She walks over, putting on that fake sweet voice of hers. Oh boy, I knew I was in for something crazy. Well, well, well. Steve, my boy, look at you. Quite the catch, aren't you? I could smell the deceit from a mile away. But I didn't play along, raising an eyebrow to show I wasn't buying her act. All right, folks, hold the phone, because Tina, my ex-wife, stormed in like she owned the place. Our eyes met and something was going on, though I couldn't quite figure it out. Was it regret? Longing? Who knows, but I wasn't falling for her mind games. We all gathered around this fancy dining table feeling like some messed up royal family. The air was thick with fake smiles as we dug into a feast fit for kings. Everyone was toasting and chatting politely, but I could see the hidden agendas lurking underneath it all. The taste of sweet revenge lingered as I navigated through small talk and phony niceties. As the night went on, I somehow became the center of attention, the life of the party. People hung on my every word, laughing like I was some kind of comedy genius. It was crazy how money changed things, turning me into the golden child. But deep down, I knew it was all smoke and mirrors. Money revealed people's true colors, and I could see greed and envy creeping in. But amidst all the glitz and glam, there was this bitterness creeping in. This newfound fortune felt hollow, reminding me of how shallow human interactions could be. I couldn't help but wonder if it was all worth it. All right, now get ready for the juicy part. Naomi, that conniving mastermind, cornered me in the bathroom like a predator. She had this sly smile on her face as she pitched her grand plan of reconciliation. "Steve, darling, I just wanted to say, Tina really misses you, and I miss you too." Oh boy, here we go again with the sweet talk. She started going on and on about how the distance had cleared up some things for Tina and her, and they all of a sudden realized that I was actually good for Tina. But little did Naomi know I wasn't about to fall for her tricks. I saw right through her desperate act, all the sugar-coated words and false promises. It was time to turn the tables, to play my own game of manipulation. So I played along, nodding and feigning interest in her remarks. So instead of telling her to kick rocks, I had this mischievous idea. I decided to get back together with Tina, but with a twist. I wanted to take control for once, make a grand announcement that would catch everyone off guard. I told Naomi to gather the whole family and bring them to the dining table. She thought she had won, but little did she know about the master plan I had brewing in my head. As she hurried off, I couldn't help but smirk to myself. It was going to be epic. So there I was, sitting at the table enjoying all the curious glances and whispers from my ex-in-laws. They had no clue what was coming. And then the big moment arrived. Naomi led everyone back to the table, all excited. I stood up, took a deep breath, and raised my glass, grabbing everyone's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. Everyone hung on to every word I said, practically hovering off their seats. I know you're all thinking about my relationship with Tina and whether or not there's a chance for us to rekindle what we had. Well, I'm excited to announce that I'm single. The room was filled with disappointed sighs and confused murmurs. They low-key thought I'd give in to their pleas and change my mind about the divorce like we'd all live happily ever after, but I wasn't falling for it. I couldn't ignore what was going on, the fake concern they all had ever since they heard about my newfound fortune. So I looked around the table, locking eyes with each one of them with a firm stare, silently letting them know that they were stupid for thinking I'd ever come back. Let's not forget, just a few short months ago, you all either treated me like garbage or couldn't care less about me. So forgive me if I find it hard to believe your sudden change of heart. Naomi and Tina went into full-on begging mode, trying to convince me that they were totally genuine about wanting me back in the family. They were all apologies and promises of change, begging me to give them another shot. But you know what? I wasn't falling for their tricks, and I had had it with all their games, manipulations, and fake acts of kindness. Enough was enough. I'm done with this whole damn family. Despite my shouting, they tried their best to drag me back in, giving me their so-called genuine reasons for wanting me back. But like I said, I wasn't falling for it. I walked away from that house, their cries fading into the background as I took off. It was a moment that changed everything, a turning point in my life. I was finally free from their toxic grip, ready to pave my own way without their interference. And as I stepped out into the cool night breeze, a sense of freedom washed over me. I took a deep breath, savoring the sweet taste of independence. It was a mix of emotions, bitter and sweet, but it was a victory for me, I'll have to admit. From that point on, I made a promise to myself. I'd reclaim my life and pursue happiness on my terms with people who genuinely love me for me. So that's how my story goes. After leaving that messy dinner behind, I returned to my own place, patiently waiting for the inheritance money to come through. The story should have ended there, right? Unfortunately, no. Naomi and Tina just wouldn't leave me alone. They kept calling and texting, desperate to get me back. They promised to change, to do better, or whatever that meant. I had no time for their empty words and manipulative games, though. I had enough. So I blocked and deleted their numbers, cutting ties with the toxic past that had kept me captive for far too long. Finally, the day came when the money was officially mine. It was just as overwhelming as the day I first got the news. With all that wealth, I knew I had to make a smart move. I watched all those horror stories of people who lost their money after winning the lottery, and I was determined to be one of the guys who actually used it wisely. This small town wasn't the right place for a guy with that kind of fortune. I mean, having loads of cash can attract all kinds of bad attention and enemies, so I packed my bags and said goodbye to the familiar streets and faces that used to bug me. I left without a trace, starting a whole new chapter in my life. I changed my name and moved to a different state far away from my past. There, I found a fresh start, and man, it felt liberating to have all those possibilities ahead of me. Now and then, I can't help but be curious, so I check out Tina's Instagram, and let me tell you, it's a trip. She's trying so hard to find a sugar daddy or something to fill the void I left behind. It's kind of funny to see how desperate she's become, chasing after materialistic stuff in a hopeless quest for happiness. Her first traps are trashy, but I wish her all the best. As for me, I'm just chilling. I've come to realize that true happiness isn't found in all that shallow wealth or the messed up relationship that used to haunt me. I found peace in my newfound independence, living a life that's free from their toxic grip. So, take it from me, guys. Money isn't everything. Sure, it can get you fancy cars and big mansions, but if that's all you're worried about, then your life won't be worth living. Hello, my beautiful friends. I'm Haley, and I really hope you're having a great time in life. I am now in a very happy place after going through a very disturbing time in my life. Since my mental health and my marriage to Damon has improved a lot, I wanted to share my story with you guys. Don't worry, Damon gave me permission. He finds these stories hilarious and wanted me to share mine as well. He is the best. So it all began when I started to date Damon. I was fresh out of college and landed a very good job right away. Damon was one of my colleagues, and we quickly became friends. He was a few years ahead of me and helped me learn a lot at my job. He left my work a year after I joined. Damon took a great offer from another company and moved to their office. I was sad to see him go, but the first thing he did after leaving was ask me out. Guys, I was absolutely thrilled. However, he gave me a little warning after we went on a few dates. He said, "Look, Haley, I like you a lot. It took me great patience not to ask you out while I was working at my old job. I had this major crush on you and didn't know what to do. Why didn't you just ask me out then? HR wouldn't have minded if we had informed them. I wouldn't have said no either." HR is not the issue, Haley. I wasn't worried about them. It's just that I wanted to see if I could get rid of my feelings for you. You must be offended by hearing this. It's just that my mother doesn't take kindly to me having a partner. What? Why is your mom so against you dating? You don't even live with her anymore. She hates to see me or my brother Darren in a relationship. She has destroyed most of our relationships in the past. I guess she didn't want to share us with anyone else. She can be very dedicated when it comes to ruining my relationships. I lost a lot of people because of her. I wanted to be sure before pulling you into my drama. I was pretty much taken aback by what he told me. I never knew mother-in-law could be this intense. You could say that I grew up quite sheltered and was always taught to see good in people. So I didn't take Damon that seriously. However, one meeting with his family just proved his words right. Audrey, his mother, made it clear that she didn't like me. His dad, William, and brother Darren were welcoming and kind, but Audrey was very, very different. She said, "Now that you're dating my son, don't think you are at the top of the world. He has his priorities straight. Damon knows that me and his family are more important." I understand that, Audrey. I would never ask him to give me more attention. Oh, please. I have seen plenty of women like you. Why don't you just ask Damon how I saved him from his exes? I made Darren's horrible exes run away too. I won't even blink when I get rid of you. Audrey, what is wrong with you? You can't speak to Haley that way. She loves my son and he loves her too. Show her some respect. Mom, what you did wasn't something to boast about. Both me and Damon have been upset about those. Right, Damon? Yes, Mom. You know what you did wasn't right. Also, you can't just talk to Haley like that. She's a great girl and doesn't deserve your hate. I can see that Haley is already putting ideas into your head. Don't let her take you away from your mother, Damon. As for the past, you and Darren should be grateful I chased away horrible people from your lives. No one can be as important as me. I was stunned to hear Audrey speak like that. Damon, William, and Darren tried to restrain her words, but no one could stop her at all. When she took a break and went to the kitchen, William and Darren both apologized on behalf of her. They said, I am so sorry, Haley. Audrey is always like this. I have no idea how to control her. She has been rude towards you. I hate that she treats you this way. William, you don't have to apologize on her behalf. None of this is your fault or Darren's. You two have been really nice to me. Trust me, that's enough for me. Haley, don't underestimate our mom. She can get really bad on you. We have had multiple experiences like this in the past. We all like you, so we don't want you to break up with Damon. Keep that in mind. Don't let Audrey win, no matter what she does. I kept Darren and William's words in mind. They were right, you know. Audrey did her best to make me and Damon break up. It really helped that Damon both knew Audrey's real face, so it was easier for us to find out who was trying to sabotage our relationship. At first, it was about I was a gold digger and her son deserved more. She used to insult my looks, job, weight, and many more things. Damon and I tried to talk to her about this. However, Audrey never accepted her faults. Every time we confronted her, she said, Haley, you're doing this to insult and embarrass me. I have the right to look out for my son. You are just jealous of me. I'm not jealous of you, Audrey. How can I be jealous of Damon's mother? That is ridiculous. You are trying to avoid your part in trying to break us up. What you have been saying about me is just plain nasty. I'm doing this to protect my son, Damon. He needs to see what a horrible gold digger you are. I'm pretty sure you are with multiple people and only using Damon for money. You are not even beautiful. I won't allow a loser like you to ruin my son. Mom, that's too much. Everything you have said is a lie. I'm getting tired of listening to you insult Haley. She is a good girl and I love her. Please don't do this to us. Audrey never stopped and only escalated. She used to call Damon daily and fill his head with negatives about me. At times, when me and Damon are fighting, he ends up siding with his mother. However, he always realized his mistake and apologized. That is one of the main reasons why I still married Damon. Audrey was extremely unhappy with our marriage, but the rest of my in-laws were over the moon. Surprisingly, our marriage made Audrey become worse. I guess she couldn't believe that I stuck with Damon despite her efforts. Audrey continued to harass me and Damon throughout the years. I knew that she regularly talked to Damon because she was missing him or something. I didn't mind because over the years she had stopped being dramatic and toxic towards me. She was surprisingly a little civil towards me in family gatherings. Turns out William spoke to Audrey and threatened to leave her if she didn't change her ways. I guess she was a little spooked by that. I was enjoying the peace and quiet until me and Damon hit a rough patch. I had an unexpected miscarriage. We were both devastated. Damon withdrew himself and our communication broke down. We had many fights and even talked about divorce because he had a tough time dealing with the situation. But after a few days, Damon came to a realization. He told me, I'm so sorry for being distant, Audrey. I should have done better. You were hurting and I acted like an ass. It's okay, Damon. I know you were hurting as well. I was just heartbroken when you mentioned divorce. I never thought about that before you said it. It really hurt me a lot. I cannot tell you how sorry I am, Haley. I know this doesn't take from my faults, but I wasn't the one who thought about divorce first. It was my mom who kept insisting. I don't want to keep this from you, Haley. There is something I need to confess. What is it, Damon? Is Audrey trying to ruin our marriage again? You are right, Haley. She has been calling me daily and poisoning me against you. I was vulnerable and didn't have the mental stability to catch her intentions, but I can now see that she was trying to manipulate me again. I have recorded the calls. Do you want to listen? I was curious and decided to hear what Audrey said about me. I had a sneaking suspicion that someone had been giving stupid ideas. Turns out it was Audrey. The call recordings I heard were outrageous. She was berating me for having a miscarriage and telling Damon that he should divorce me. Hell, she spoke some vile things about me and made it seem like Damon was better off without me. Instead of helping her son heal, she was trying to attack his insecurities and force him into divorcing me. I was furious with what I heard. Damon also looked mad and upset. He said, "I know what my mom said is absolutely unforgivable. Hell, even I don't know how I can forgive myself, but I am willing to cut contact with her for good." I agree with that, Damon. I let her stay in our lives because she is family, but she went too far this time. I won't forgive her. We never need to see or talk to her again. Hell, I don't want her around me either. I'll go and tell her that she will not be in our lives anymore. No, I don't think that would be enough. Audrey tried to fool William and Darren into thinking that she had changed. I want to expose her to them. I will show them the recordings next time we have a family dinner. I don't want her to spin the story her way. People need to know how vile she is. If that's what you want, then so be it. Mom needs to have some serious consequences for her actions. It's high time me and my family take some action against her. Damon and I decided to work towards a plan that would expose Audrey. He kept talking to her and she kept spewing bullshit against me. All the calls I heard made me want to hurl. Damon was also getting more and more upset. In every call recording, Damon tried to defend me, but his mother kept attacking me. Hell, she targeted our weak spots to show us that our marriage would fail soon. I was appalled at how vile and manipulative Audrey could be. The D-Day arrived in a week. We did our best to make a compilation of Audrey's calls and what she said about me. It took us time and was frustrating to hear everything again and again. In the end, we made a nice audio compilation. I asked Damon if he was sure about going through with the plan. He seemed determined, and so was I. Audrey was going down this time. Damon and I kept everyone in the dark till we reached my in-laws' place. From the very beginning, Audrey started to make hurtful remarks about me and my life. Everyone was very uncomfortable with her words and tried to make her stop. I suffered through the humiliation because I knew what was coming. We had dinner in relative silence with occasional jabs from Audrey. As usual, they were directly or indirectly about me and my flaws. Again, everyone ignored her. William was trying his best to make Audrey stop. That didn't deter her even the slightest. She went on making jabs at me until it was time for dinner. While dinner was awkward, the real show was about to begin. After we were done eating, I decided that it was time to begin talking. I said, "So, now that we have dinner out of the way, there is something important that I should discuss with you all. You don't have to hype yourself, Haley. We all know that your talks are absolutely unimportant. Just say what you want instead of wasting our time." Let her speak, Audrey. You are being super rude to her. This is not how we behave with family. Why so impatient, Audrey? You took your sweet time talking to Damon about me, didn't you? Don't worry, I won't take months to complete my talk. It will only take a few minutes. Go ahead, Haley. We're all ears. Well, I had some very important and disturbing problems in my life. I thought this is something we all should know about and discuss. But before starting any discussion, I would like to play a few recordings for you. I looked at Damon as he gave me the green signal to start the recordings. I held my breath for a minute to find my composure. Audrey sure does know how to rattle me when I'm trying to stay calm. Recalling everything she had said about me, I pressed the play button on my phone and let the recordings play. After listening to the recordings, no one said anything for some time. William and Darren looked absolutely shocked. Meanwhile, Audrey just looked super angry. I had no idea why she had that reaction. I mean, I expected her to look scared or turn pale, but she was downright angry at me. I looked at Damon and he was confused about her reaction as well. Nothing prepared me for what happened next. Before anyone could speak, Audrey started to scream at me. "This is ridiculous! Why the hell did you show my private calls to everyone, Haley? You had no right to snoop on what I and my son talked about. You are such a shameless girl. I can't believe your audacity." "Oh, don't worry about that, Audrey. Damon okayed it before I showed everyone the recordings. In fact, he is the one who made the recordings with me." "There is no way my son would betray me like that. You are just jealous of me and Damon's close relationship. So you're trying to poison us against each other. Damon, I'm so sorry your wife violated your privacy like this. Mom, she had my permission to show these recordings to everyone. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm done with you. I truly never realized just how badly you were trying to destroy my marriage." "How can you even say that about me? I have done nothing wrong. I was simply talking to my son." "Is that so, Audrey? Do these recordings sound like normal conversations to you? No one here would believe that you weren't trying to break us up. This is all part of your plan. You are purposefully trying to isolate Damon and take him away from me. See, everyone, I always knew Haley would destroy our family." For a while, there was a pin-drop silence again. I could see that Damon, William, and even Darren looked really pissed off. I could feel the anger boiling off them. Audrey looked irritated and pretended to be disturbed by my accusations. Then, my dear husband stormed at Audrey. Damon said, "You have the audacity to accuse Haley of destroying our family? You are the one who tried to destroy my marriage, Mom. You tried to spoil your own son's happiness." "You guys have to believe me. I only had good intentions. Haley is putting ideas into your head." "I can't believe you turned on Haley because she exposed you. Mom, you literally told me that I should divorce my wife and move back home. How can you say you had good intentions?" "Damon, I was only looking out for you. I didn't want you to be unhappy. I know Haley is a terrible wife and your marriage is ruined." "Mom, I told you I'm perfectly happy in my marriage. How dare you say that Haley is a bad wife? If anyone is trying to ruin my marriage, it is you. I'm done with you, Mom. I don't want you anywhere near me or my wife. We have gone through enough already. Leave us alone." Audrey heard that and immediately started to cry. She couldn't believe that her son would stand up to her just to protect me. She kept pleading with her son to listen to her and understand her reasons. She also went on a rant about how horrible I was and how she had been right about me. That's when my dear father-in-law decided to speak. He said, "Enough is enough, Audrey. I have tolerated your insane jealousy towards Haley for a while now. It was my mistake that I didn't nip it in the bud sooner. You need to apologize to Haley and stay out of Damon's life." "What are you saying, William? I will not apologize to that monster, Haley. How can you ask me to apologize? She's trying to ruin my family." "You are the one trying to ruin this family, Audrey. For years, you have meddled in and messed up your son's relationships. You are responsible for the numerous breakups that Damon and Darren had in their lives. I always thought that you would change. You never did." "Dad is right, Mom. You cannot deny the fact that you have chased away the girls who I bring home. You have done the same with Damon. We always believed you because you're our mother. But now I can see that you simply wanted us in your control. How can you be so evil to your own sons? There is no use telling Mom anything, Darren. I already tried to stop her and change her ways. She never listened. You are all blaming me for what Haley did. I will never forgive you for this, Haley. I can now see why God made you infertile. It's His way of punishing you. I was stunned to hear what Audrey said. I had no idea how bad her tirade against me could get. Everyone was shocked while Audrey went on crying and playing the victim. Damon was ready to break something while Darren looked at his dad with a challenging face. William stood up and calmly said, "That's it, Audrey. That was the last thing I needed to make this decision. I cannot be with someone so vile and disgusting. I failed to protect my son from your toxic ways, but I won't tolerate this anymore. I will file for separation. I'm done with you as well. Don't even think about coming near me or Haley after this. You are dead to me, Mom. I want nothing to do with you. Like Damon, I don't want you near me either. You have already tried to poison me against my girlfriend. Now that I saw how far you can go, I will protect myself and my future fiancé. Stay the heck away from us." Hearing this, Audrey went into an absolute rage. She was crying, screaming, and calling me all sorts of names. Suddenly, her sons and husband were completely forgotten. She started to show her true colors and became violent at me. She did hurt me quite a bit by pushing me into the kitchen cabinet. That's when William actually called the police on her. Darren and Damon kept Audrey restrained while the police arrived. They came and took her away in handcuffs. The aftermath of the entire fiasco was not exactly a happy one. For months, me, Damon, Darren, and William had to go through a lot. William initially wanted separation, but he went and filed for divorce. Audrey's insanity kept increasing while she was in jail. She kept crying and begging to meet with her husband and sons. She was still unapologetic about what happened. So with everyone's encouragement, I pressed charges against her. It looks like she will have a healthy dose of prison in the next month. At least that's what the lawyer says. No one is willing to help Audrey with bail money, so she would have to stay in the cell till the final hearing. As for the rest of us, we have all gotten restraining orders against Audrey. After the incident, both Damon and Darren were scared for their significant others. They wanted to ensure our safety and put restraining orders in place. William is close to getting a divorce from Audrey as well. His lawyer has assured that the divorce will be swift. The best part is that Audrey can't claim alimony because of a post-nup they signed. Turns out William had been skeptical about their marriage a few years into it, so they decided on a post-nup. This means Audrey would have to go back to work once she gets out of jail. William is heartbroken because he spent almost a lifetime with Audrey. We are all supporting him while we recover from what Audrey subjected us to. Hello everyone, my name is Ellie. I'm warning you at the very beginning that all the names I used are fake. I don't want my or my parents' identity to be released, so I use fake names. This story is about my entitled and scheming sister, Candy. She's my youngest sister and has always been a spoiled child. No, my parents, Paul and Jane, were not abusive towards me, but they paid more attention to her because she was younger. In the beginning, I wasn't that concerned about the favoritism my parents showed. Hell, I loved my sister dearly and spoiled her myself. However, everything changed when my sister grew up. My parents are fairly wealthy but lived a simple life, and so did I. But my sister always wanted more. She complained about our simple lifestyle and demanded we spend more, especially on her. When we didn't budge, she started to manipulate us. She always played the victim and didn't last at any of her odd jobs. She always claimed that she had been bullied and worse. My parents believed all her lies and started to support her financially. I saw through her lies and said, "Candy, what you are doing is not okay. I know you have never worked at any job and you lied to our parents about being bullied. You need to stop with the lies." "Oh, shut up, Ellie. You have a good job and live like a beggar. Our parents and you can live like that, but I can't. They have plenty of money lying around. They should just give it to me since they don't use it. You can't rely on their money, Candy. It's shameful how much you have been exploiting them. You should try to find a job if you want a good life. I don't need your lectures, Ellie. Mom and Dad are stupid, and they don't have any class. I can't be like them. Plus, I'm their daughter, so I'm entitled to their money. Candy's logic had always put me off. Still, I didn't want to expose her to our parents. I protected her and sometimes ignored her lies. My parents loved her, knowing the truth would have crushed them. I helped them and Candy out at times so that my parents didn't end up spending all their money on her. Candy never showed any appreciation for that. She always thought that she was entitled to their money. For years, Candy lived a luxurious life on our dime. Mom and Dad were hopeful that someday she would become independent, but that day never arrived. Candy continued her horrible lifestyle while playing victim to our parents. They swallowed her lies because they trusted her. What was worse was the fact that Candy cared nothing about me or our parents. That became clear very soon. My parents got into a horrible accident a year back. They were in critical condition and the doctor told us that the chances of survival were low. While I was close to breaking down in the hospital, Candy said, "Wow, looks like their time is up. I can't believe it took them so long. I wonder how much longer it'll be. The doctors are not very hopeful." Candy, how can you even think of that right now? Our parents are close to death and you don't feel anything. Don't be so dramatic, Ellie. Mom and Dad were only good for money. It's even better if they are not here. They have been pressuring me to get a job. It was irritating. Anyway, now that there is little hope for them, I will head out. Don't call me unnecessarily. Just give me a sweet call when they're gone. I need to sort out the inheritance and all. Candy, what is wrong with you? Don't you want our parents to live? How can you even think of inheritance right now? I have no use being here, sister. I know Mom and Dad will leave me most of their assets. I'm the poor, jobless daughter after all. They have promised me that, so I have no reason to be here anymore. I'm off for a nice vacation. Call me when you have my inheritance ready. Bye. I couldn't believe what Candy did. Her sadistic approach to her own family threw me into rage and sadness. But I held strong for my parents. I emptied out my bank account to get them the best treatment. Finally, after a month of struggling, I was able to bring them home. Candy didn't show up or even call once after that day. My parents wanted to see her, but she didn't even receive my calls. They were still recovering, so they didn't have the energy to deal with this. It broke my heart to see them yearn for Candy. About 2 weeks after my parents came home, they called an estate lawyer to their house. I was at their place looking after them when I saw the lawyer. I was a little confused. I said, "Mom, Dad, why is the estate lawyer here? Did you call him?" "Yes, Ellie, we called him. We don't have a proper will in place. With what happened recently, we want to make sure our will is set." Yeah, it was quite a scare. It got us thinking about finalizing the will. So we have been thinking about splitting our assets 80-20. Candy will get more because she needs the money. I hope you understand, Ellie. We had promised her that we would look after her and leave her a big inheritance. She was really worried about her future when we last met her. We think splitting equally would have been better, but it pains us to see Candy in so much trouble. She has had bad luck, my poor child. You're pretty set with your finances and won't miss the money. Hearing that made my blood run cold. I wasn't interested in my parents' money. Hell, I already told you guys how I gave them money to bail my sister out of debt. What shocked me the most was the fact that Candy had been putting ideas into their head for a long time. She planned exactly how she could get our parents to give her most of the inheritance. My loving parents bought her crocodile tears and were about to give away their hard-earned money to a selfish idiot. I knew that I needed to say something. After years of putting up with my parents being exploited, I just couldn't take it anymore. I decided then and there that I would end Candy's game. I needed to do this for my parents. They didn't deserve to be deceived like this. I said, "Mom, Dad, I think you should reconsider your decision. I don't think you should just hand over Candy so much of your assets." "Why, Ellie? What's wrong with our decision? I know that we are not splitting the assets 50-50, but I'm sure you understand why." "Poor Candy has had a hard life, Ellie. She needs our help more. You have always been the daughter who made us proud with her achievements. You even have a comfortable life. Candy simply needs the money more than you." "Mom, Dad, you have it all wrong here. Candy is not the person you think she is. She acts like she's poor and unlucky, so you give her more money." "What? What are you saying, Ellie?" I took the opportunity to tell them everything, from the fake bullies at her jobs to her being mentally sick and having no money. I also gave them details to prove that I was telling the truth. My parents seemed shocked by the information. Unfortunately, I also had to point out her lack of help while they were fighting for life in the hospital. Still, my parents seemed to be in disbelief. I said, "I'm sorry I had to say these things. I have been sheltering her for a long time. I just can't do it anymore. All these years, I truly believe that no matter how manipulative she is, she definitely loves you guys. But after your accident, her true face came out to me. I can't and won't protect her anymore." My parents refused to believe that Candy could be so cruel. It broke my heart to see them in such deep denial. I knew that the moment they realized the truth, they would be devastated. I almost gave up on the truth, but I didn't back out of speaking about Candy. My parents didn't deserve to be deceived like that, so I said, "I know it's hard for you to believe this. I wish it wasn't the truth and Candy was a nice person. But think about it, Mom and Dad. Did Candy call you even once when you were in the hospital?" "No, she did not. But what if she was busy looking for a job? She had promised that she would find a job and better herself. Maybe she was just struggling and desperate to find a job, so she didn't get the time to contact us." I don't think that's true, Paul. I looked up her social media yesterday. She's having a beach vacation 2 states over. I guess Ellie is not far from the truth. Look, I don't want to ruin my sister's reputation, but what she did recently pushed me over the edge. I don't want you two to waste your money on someone who doesn't deserve it. I would rather you give it away to charity. If you are still unsure about everything, why don't I just call Candy and clear it out for you? My parents agreed for me to call Candy and see her reaction. They desperately wanted Candy to ask me about their health. I was in pain from how hopeful and vulnerable they looked. I was praying to God that Candy doesn't say anything drastic. I was also concerned that she wouldn't pick up my calls again. But Candy did pick up the phone after I called her like 10 times. When she finally did pick up my call, she hit me with the worst question on this planet. Before I could say anything, she said, "So, are they dead already? You would not have called me so many times if they weren't dead. I guess I made that clear the last time I saw you. So, Mom and Dad are gone, right? Gosh, it took them time." "What are you saying, Candy? It's not like that. Finally, our filthy parents are dead and they left all their money to me. It was so easy to sell the poor little me card to them. They have always been weak towards me, and I always knew the right things to say to make them give me money. But I feel so bad for you, Ellie." "Oh, really, Candy? Tell me what on earth you suddenly feel bad for me." "You tried so hard to be a good daughter and did everything for them, but in the end, I won all the money. I feel sorry for you. You should have taken some lessons from me to get money out of them. Look what being successful did to you. I did nothing but still got a chunk of money. I am so ashamed of you, Candy. Don't you feel even a little remorse about our parents dying? Are you even sad? Why would I be sad, Ellie? Do you have any idea how much I had to act to make them give me money? They are cheap and have low standards. I can't tell you how embarrassing it was for me to bring my friends home. They were really embarrassing. The only thing they were good at was making money. Now that I have all of that for myself, there's no reason to be sad. I'm just happy I won't have to beg for money anymore. I was getting tired of it. Well, congratulations to you then, Candy. Our parents were the only reason I was still talking to you. Now I have no reason to stay in contact with you anymore. As for the money, you can keep it. I never ran after it anyway. I don't care if you don't stay in contact with me, Ellen. Just know this. I won't be responsible for the funeral or anything. It's a waste of my money. Since you want to be a generous daughter, you can handle it yourself. Candy said that and went on laughing about it. My parents were horrified at what she said. To be honest, I didn't know that she would be so cold about the news I gave her. I was shocked to see her reaction as well. As for my parents, their horror soon turned to anger, which was clear on their faces. This time, I took the opportunity to tell Candy how wrong she was. I said, "You really do have everything planned, don't you? So quickly you assumed that our parents had died. Well, let me tell you this, Candy. They are very well and sitting right next to me. In fact, they have heard the entire conversation." You are lying, Ellie. Mom and Dad were in terrible condition after the accident. There's no way they recovered from that so fast. Hell, even the doctor said that there was no hope. The doctor said that there is little hope, Candy. You heard that one line and flew away to celebrate your impending inheritance. Not once did you check up on them to see if they have recovered. How would you know they are alive? This is nonsense, Ellie. I'm sure this is some scheme of yours to take away from my inheritance. You must be jealous because our parents left everything to me. This is when my dad and mother decided to pounce on Candy. They were mad and ready to erupt. I could tell that Candy had truly broken their trust. While they were very loving parents, they were equally strict and did not take disrespect from people. They said, "Me and Jane are both alive and well, Candy. Thanks for letting us know what you think of us." What? Dad, are you okay? Oh my God, I'm so glad you're fine. I was dying from worry and pain. Is Mom okay? Do you want to know if I'm alive? Yes, Jane, I am alive and fine. It must be a sad blow to you, isn't it? And no, you are clearly not glad that we are alive. Mom, what are you saying? Of course I'm glad that my parents are well. This is all I always wanted. No, Candy. You clearly didn't want us to live. You never visited us or tried to meet us at the hospital. Hell, I even saw you reject Ellie's calls when she reached out to you. Now that you finally picked up, you immediately assumed we were dead. And you seemed very delighted by the idea of us dying. I mean, who wouldn't want their filthy parents to die, right, Candy? No, Mom, Dad, please listen to me. I don't know what Ellie told you guys. She must have filled you with lies about me. I swear I never said anything like that. I couldn't come because I was busy trying to find a job and feed myself. Don't give us those lies again, Candy. We have seen your social media posts, and you were on loudspeaker all along. Candy panicked and immediately hung up the call out of fear. She must have realized her stupidity and was starting to freak out. She then very sturdily called me back to scream at me. She said, "How dare you put me on loudspeaker, Ellie? You did this on purpose. You spoiled my image to our parents. Now I will have to beg and plead with them like a beggar to get back in their good grace. You are the one who showed them the social media posts, right? I hate you. Dissing on Ellie won't do you any good, Candy. You were still on loudspeaker. And we heard all that again. Dad, Mom, please listen to me. I didn't mean to say those things. It was a coping mechanism. You know I'm having a hard time in life. I just snapped and said some stupid things. Stop trying to manipulate our parents again, Candy. You have absolutely no shame after insulting our parents and planning to enjoy their inheritance. I know this is all you could ever think about, Candy. Their inheritance is the only reason you have been acting like a poor girl with no money. There is no use for the drama anymore, Candy. Just so you know, while you were busy celebrating our death and taunting Ellie, we were sitting with a lawyer. What? You were talking to a lawyer? Is it about... Yes, it is about our will, Candy. After what we witnessed today, I think Jane would agree with me that we no longer want to leave you anything. Right, Jane? Absolutely, Paul. There is no way I would leave anything to an ungrateful child like Candy. What you have done today was truly disgusting, Candy. I can't believe I raised a selfish and cruel woman like you. Mom, Dad, please don't do this to me. I slipped up and said some things I regret. I'm sure Ellie understands why I did it. I was under a lot of stress. I started to laugh at Candy's attempt to recruit me. Yes, indeed, I often helped her get out of trouble. She's my little sister, and I did want the best for her. So she naturally assumed that I would help her get out of trouble this time. What she didn't know was that I had no intention of saving her anymore. I was done. I said, I've covered for you a lot of times, Candy, but this time you have taken it too far. You wished upon our parents' death, Candy. How can I support that? You said nasty things to me as well. I will never forgive you for this. Today, it is important everyone knows how truly vile you are. Ellie, please don't say that. You're my sister. You know that people sometimes make mistakes. Where's Mom and Dad? I will go there right now and beg for forgiveness. There is no need for that anymore, Candy. I, or your mom, want nothing to do with you anymore. We helped you out through the years and didn't deserve this reward. We are disinheriting you and giving everything to Ellie. Lawyer, you can go ahead and make our will on those terms. We won't change our mind. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. Mom said that and promptly hung up on Candy while she was crying and screaming for forgiveness. Dad and Mom were quite sad as well, but most of all, they were angry. I tried to comfort them the best I could. I also told them to make their decisions after long consideration because I didn't want them to regret disinheriting Candy. My parents heard that and started to cry. They said that they finally realized how much they had neglected me and taken me for granted. I assured them that I held no anger. Dad and Mom still went ahead with their decision to disinherit them. Around 2 days after the incident, Candy showed up at my parents' place. She was on a trip with friends and needed time to come and hound them in person. She did continue to harass me and my parents through calls and texts. When Candy arrived at their door, she looked really disheveled. I guess the gravity of the situation finally dawned on her. She begged me and my parents to forgive her. However, Dad told her to leave the property and never come near them again. Mom actually threatened to call the police if she didn't leave. Candy did leave after she realized that there was nothing she could do. Mom and Dad stopped payment for her rent and she ended up losing her apartment in 2 months. None of her friends let her stay in their house because they knew she had no money and didn't want to work. She did return to our doorstep to beg, but no one paid her any attention. Last I heard, she was crashing on a friend's couch who gave her a month to find a place. She has been applying at the local grocery stores and cleaning services for a job. I don't know if anyone will ever give her one because by now, everyone knows her character. Anyway, I'm still at my parents' place and have moved in permanently. They are struggling both mentally and physically after the accident. I'm doing my best to take care of them, and the 3 of us are as happy as we could be under the circumstances. Hey there, everyone. Grab a tissue or two because the story I'm about to share is a real tearjerker. I'm Sophie, 25, female, and I feel like it's time for me to share what happened to me. I apologize in advance if this story is too depressing, but it's so crazy that I had to share it. I'm still reeling from it myself, to be honest. So let's dive in, shall we? Picture this. I was 18 and head over heels in love with my high school sweetheart, Ethan. Yeah, I know, people said we were too young, but that didn't stop us. We tied the knot and thought we had it all figured out. Fast forward a few years and there we were, living our lives as a married couple, doing all the couple of things. Things were great, and I knew that I could accomplish anything with my ride or die right by my side. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs at you. One day, out of the blue, Ethan was gone. A car accident took him away from me, from his family, from everyone who loved him. It hit me like a freight train, the news, the grief, the overwhelming feeling that I was suddenly alone. For a while, I was lost in a sea of sadness. My days were dark and it felt like a heavy cloud was hanging over me, making it hard to breathe. Ethan had been my rock, my everything, and now he was gone. The funeral was beautiful. All of us were brought closer by the whole ordeal. The coroner said that his body was so damaged and burnt up that they had to cremate him. Each of us, me, my sister-in-law and mother-in-law, as well as other family members, got the chance to get a little piece of Ethan with us. I decided to put him into a necklace that I'd never take off so that he'd be close to me in some way. About a month after his passing, I found myself in bed, a mess of tears and memories. It was one of those moments when the weight of the world was just too much to bear. This was the norm. I even quit my job because nothing felt worth living anymore. So yeah, one day I was in bed wallowing as was custom, and then, like a lightning bolt, my phone started buzzing like crazy. I glanced at the caller ID and there it was, Linda, my sister-in-law. Hello? Come and open the door, I'm here. Those words hit me like a punch to the gut. Here I was, a mess of emotions, and Linda's angry voice was the last thing I expected. I dragged myself out of bed, wiped my tears, and stumbled to the front door. There she was, arms crossed, looking like she meant business. Linda, what's going on? Look, Sophie, I know he's here somewhere. I don't know why he would do this to us, but I know he's here. So there I was, staring at Linda in utter confusion and disbelief. I thought for a moment that maybe the grief had gotten to her, that maybe she had lost her marbles. Linda, you can't seriously think that Ethan is here, right? He's gone, you know this. Come and sit, let's talk about this. But Linda was adamant, like a detective on a mission. She looked me in the eye and said she didn't know what to believe anymore. So I sighed, asked her to sit down again, and attempted to make her understand that Ethan was no longer with us, that he was really truly gone. Linda, it's been a month. Ethan passed away and we have to accept that. I don't know what you're accusing me of, but I can't play along with this. Grief can mess with our heads, I know that, but we can't let it make us imagine crazy things. We can't let it take control. Linda's voice cracked as she spoke, and for a moment, I saw a vulnerability in her eyes that I hadn't expected. Sophie, don't talk to me like I'm a crazy person. I know what I saw, and I swear to God, if you two thought that this was some funny prank you could pull on us, then you've got another thing coming. Linda, I don't know what you're saying. Please explain. I saw him, Sophie. I saw him at that cafe on 5th Street. It was him. I know it was him. Don't believe me? Let me prove it to you. I took a picture. I felt a chill run down my spine. She pulled out her phone and showed me a picture. A picture that shouldn't exist. At first, I thought it was just my mind playing tricks on me again. Grief can make us do crazy things, but that wasn't it. This felt too real. Then I thought that it was a doppelganger. People can look like other people, right? But the similarities were too uncanny. I then concluded that that was indeed Ethan, wearing a hoodie, sitting in a cafe. My heart pounded as I looked at the date of the photo. Just 2 days ago. What? What is this? How is this even possible? It was like I had seen a ghost. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. And then reality came crashing back and I realized Linda didn't mean to accuse me. She genuinely thought she had seen Ethan alive and well. Sophie, I'm sorry. I really thought that you knew that he was still alive. I actually thought that you helped him fake his death. She was on the verge of tears, and I found myself struggling to hold it together too. Linda explained how she had seen Ethan through the cafe window, snapped the picture, and sent it to our family group chat. Everyone denied knowing anything about Ethan faking his death except me. I hadn't responded. She thought I was in on it, that I was helping Ethan live this lie. Linda, I swear I had no idea. I thought he was gone. Please tell me everything you know, and I'm sorry for not responding. I haven't responded to messages in a month, Linda, I swear to you. I had no idea about this. I would never do something like this. Tell me everything now. There I was, huddled with Linda, trying to make sense of it all. Linda explained that all she knew was that she had seen Ethan in that cafe, sent the picture to our family chat, and asked if he was pulling some bizarre prank. But now, with what Linda had just revealed, it meant that nobody knew about this. Ethan had lied to everyone. Why would he do something like this? As we clung to each other, tears streaming down our faces, a mixture of sadness and anger began to swell within us. We were left wondering what on earth could drive Ethan to concoct such a stupid ruse. I thought I was losing my mind. I wanted to approach him, but I was scared. That's why I took the picture so others could see what I was seeing, so that I could know for sure that I wasn't just imagining things. At that moment, our shared sadness shifted into something else, a fiery rage that we couldn't suppress. We tossed around speculations like a game of emotional ping pong. Sure, Ethan had been a prankster and had a knack for getting on people's nerves to mess with them, but this was a new low, and we were left grappling with the weight of his actions. I can't believe he would put us through this. What could he possibly have gained from making us think he was dead? Linda's voice trembled as she spoke, her anger mirroring my own, and then, amid our confusion and fury, it hit us like a bolt of lightning. We were way out of our depths here. We couldn't just unravel this on our own. We needed help, professional help. Linda, we can't do this alone. We need to find out the truth, and that means we need to get a private investigator involved. Linda's eyes met mine, and in that gaze we shared a newfound determination. We were going to dig deep, uncover the layers of deception, and finally get the answers we deserved. The roller coaster had taken a wild twist, hurtling us towards a truth that was more complex and shocking than we could have ever anticipated. And, well, we were ready to face whatever lay ahead, with a little help, of course. So, with our newfound determination and Linda's connections, we managed to get ourselves a top-notch private investigator, the real deal. Honestly, if this story were a movie, this is probably where the music would start getting suspenseful. Weeks rolled by and we were getting antsy. I'd received sporadic updates from Linda, but for about 2 weeks, it felt like we were stuck in limbo. I was itching for some resolution, some answers. And then, finally, The private investigator called Linda with a big break. Turns out, Ethan wasn't just chilling somewhere twiddling his thumbs. No, he had gone the whole 9 yards, adopting a new name, let's call him Alex, a new passport, and an entirely new identity. Yeah, we're talking witness protection level stuff. The private investigator managed to get more pictures, and sure enough, it was Ethan, albeit with dyed hair and a clean-shaven face. The disguise might have fooled a casual passerby, but not us, not the people who loved him. Linda and I convened with the family and spilled the tea on what we'd been discovering. The collective reaction was something straight out of a soap opera, you know. The dramatic gasps and raised eyebrows, it was like we were all characters in some wild movie plot. But this was no movie, it was real life, and we needed answers. The PI didn't stop there. He was relentless, trying to uncover the motives behind Ethan's fake death and his new identity. It was like peeling back layers of an onion, and each discovery just led to more questions. And then another breakthrough. The PI reported that Alex, had a hangout spot, a lounge he'd frequent during the week. He seemed harmless, not engaging in any dangerous activities, so the PI reassured us that it was safe to approach him. We were on guard, trust me, 911 on speed dial and everything. Linda and I put our heads together, making a plan to finally confront Alex, and get to the bottom of this mess. We had so many questions, and we were hoping against hope that our crazy theory was wrong, that we were somehow mistaken about everything. But at the same time, there was an undeniable thrill coursing through our veins. It was time to face the ghost that had returned from the dead. And well, let's just say we were as ready as could be. So there we were, Linda and I, stepping into that lounge like we were two characters from some suspense movie. We scanned the place, and there he was, lurking in the shadows, nursing a sad-looking bear. Alex, was cornered, and he knew it. Those widened eyes spoke volumes as he realized who was confronting him. Two very pissed-off women who needed explanations pronto. The moment, Ethan stammered, "I can explain." Linda's hand met his face in a satisfying slap. Thankfully, there weren't many patrons around, and this lounge looked pretty seedy anyway, so we weren't drawing much attention. He blinked in surprise and regained his composure enough to mutter, "I guess I deserved that." But let me tell you, any composure we were trying to maintain evaporated into thin air as Linda and I unleashed a verbal assault. We didn't hold back, demanding to know just what the heck he thought he was doing. Honestly, the situation was so absurd, it felt like we were living in a sitcom, except nobody was laughing. Then came the sobbing. Ethan's defenses crumbled, and he confessed that he dug himself into a hole so deep, he wasn't sure how he would get out. He messed up, and he knew it. I could hardly believe my ears as he spilled the beans. He'd been having an affair with some valley girl named Stacy. You know the type, partying hard, doing drugs, hitting up underground fight clubs. The whole shebang. Things escalated real fast when Stacy turned up pregnant. Ethan tried to bail, but this girl, Stacy, was no pushover. She had a billionaire daddy who would kill for her, so he wasn't exactly the warm and fuzzy type. She threatened to make Ethan's life a living hell if he didn't play nice and build a nice life with her because she wanted to be wifed up. Just when I thought the crazy train had reached its final stop, Ethan hit us with the grand finale. He looked at me, guilt plastered all over his face, and mumbled out an apology. He explained that he was sorry, not just for the affair, but for faking his own death and dragging me into this chaotic mess. I was stunned, furious and heartbroken all at once. It's like I couldn't process the whirlwind of emotions that hit me. And then, without even thinking, my fist met his cheek, and the sound echoed through the lounge. It was the punch heard round the world, or at least around that lounge. And in that moment, I wasn't sure whether to scream, cry, or storm out of there. All I knew was that this crazy saga was far from over. So there we were, facing Ethan, or Alex, or whatever he wanted to call himself now. I could hardly wrap my head around the mess he dragged us all into. Linda's eyes bored into him, and she finally asked the million-dollar question. "Are you serious, Ethan?" He looked back at her with a mixture of guilt and desperation, and all he could manage to say was, "They're gonna chop off my jewels, Lynn. I had to run away, and I couldn't put you guys in danger. That's why I'm laying low. That's why I faked my death, so that you could all be rid of me and my stupidity. I knew you'd all do just fine without me." "That's not your call to make, Ethan. We loved you. We mourned you. And you did this to us? Tell me why I shouldn't kill you myself. Please, you have to understand. How did you even come up with the money to accomplish all of this? To make it seem so real?" Reality sunk in as he began to explain how he'd managed to orchestrate this entire insane charade. He spilled the beans, revealing that Stacy was somewhat of a sugar mama to him, and so she'd give him insane amounts of cash, which he used to fund his little disappearing act. The car wreck, the stories in the news, even the coroner's report, all of it was staged. And then he'd used the money to create a whole new identity for himself. I couldn't help but ask, "Why stick around in the city if you knew you were in danger? Why not flee to another country? Or something?" Ethan sighed, a mix of frustration and resignation on his face. He explained that the plan had been to meet up with the guy who was supposed to help him escape the country, right here in this very lounge, but the guy hadn't shown up yet. According to Ethan, this connect didn't do phones to avoid exposure. He told Ethan to show up at the bar every night for a week, and he'd eventually make an appearance. I scoffed at his explanation. "And what if this guy never shows up? What if you get caught and you get your precious jewels chopped off like you said?" Ethan just shook his head, his eyes welling up with tears again. "I'm so sorry, Sophie. Please, you have to believe me. I messed up big time, but I never wanted any of this. I'll be waiting for you in the car, Sophie. I can't do this anymore." "Linda, please, I know you're upset, but please understand where I'm coming from. How about we rewind to last month when you were dead? Because there's no way that I'm going to accept you now. You're dead to me, Ethan. I hope that they catch you." She just got up and walked away. Ethan called out after her, his voice desperate, but she left him there with me. As for me, I wasn't about to let him off the hook that easily. I still had questions burning in my mind, so I looked him dead in the eyes and asked, "Why did you cheat on me, Ethan?" He looked down at his hands, tears falling onto the table as he tried to find the words. It was a messy mix of apologies, guilt, and regret. He didn't have a good excuse, just admitted that he was weak and got caught up in something he should never have let happen. At that moment, as I stared at the man I'd once called my husband, I realized that the story was far from over. The mess he'd created was bigger than any of us could have imagined, and the web of lies and deception was unraveling in ways I could hardly comprehend. Walking out of that bar, leaving Ethan behind with his tears and his guilt, I was so furious that I could barely see straight. The anger churned within me like a storm that threatened to consume everything. I got back to the car, slammed the door shut, and gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. I muttered to myself, "He's going to pay for this. He's going to regret the day he ever cheated on me." And so, with that determination fueling my actions, I did the unthinkable. The next day, I tipped off the tabloids about the entire insane situation. how my supposedly dead husband had faked his own death just to escape the consequences of his actions, as well as providing them with pictures from the PI. The story spread like wildfire through the city. After all, it's not every day that you hear about someone faking their own death, especially not for something so absurd as evading a cheating scandal. I didn't hold back. I laid it all out there for the world to see, how I had been the loving and devoted wife, only to discover that my husband had played me like a fool. The tabloids ate it up, and soon the entire city was buzzing about the tale of the man who faked his own death. With the help of the PI, Ethan's secrets unraveled faster than he could ever imagine. It turned out that his grand plan was crumbling because his connect wanted nothing to do with him once his wife had blown his cover. And just like that, Ethan went from being a man who faked his death to avoid consequences to a man who was publicly exposed for his lies and deceit. Ethan's world quickly crumbled around him. He became a social outcast, shunned by his family and friends, his reputation in tatters. It seemed like justice was served. But then, just as suddenly as he'd reappeared into our lives, Ethan vanished once again. This time it felt more permanent, like he'd been swallowed up by the very lie he'd created. Rumors swirled, but it seemed like his past had finally caught up to him, this time in a way that even he couldn't escape. Linda and I were left wondering about his fate, whether he was even alive or not, whether he was finally facing the consequences he tried so hard to evade. I mean, when you mess with billionaires, anything can happen. Maybe they had him locked in a dungeon somewhere, jewels missing so that he could never escape again. In the end, all I could feel was a strange sense of relief. I had exposed the truth, no matter how messy or unbelievable it was. And for that, I was grateful because it meant I could restart my life without any drama and mess.